to eventually do that, or we aren't. Like that, for not being very specific. But you're either going to find City Hall to be...
Order, regular meeting September 6th. Any citizens' public comments other than what we heard? Mayor's welcome. Consider the approval of the agenda.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Roll call.
Starr. Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Consider the approval of the minutes.
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
Roll call.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
The minutes of the August 10, 15, and 22nd meeting, they're not included in 6? That's 6. Oop.
Oop.
Now I went out of business. That's included in item 6, right?
It is. All in the consent calendar.
Item 7, consider the approval of the consent calendar. Whoa.
So
We'll have some slight delays here because the mayor is not too, the mayor pro tem is not too intelligent here. Okay, where we at?
Mike made a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Approve the consent
So
calendar.
moved, Your Honor.
And
Second.
Roll call.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye. The mayor's got no business tonight, so on number 9, 9A, public hearing on 2016 house demolition project. Need to open the hearing?
Yes.
Need a motion?
Nope, you just open it.
Okay, it's open.
Mhm.
Filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
Any oral comments or objections?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Roll call?
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Consider Resolution 6516 approving the final plans and specs and awarding contracts for the 2016 house demolition project. Discussion.
Yes, the City Council approved the preliminary plans and specifications for this project at the August 15th meeting. The City Council, we have discussed this project before with the need to demolish and remove nuisance homes in the city. This house is at 1911 Clark Street. It's on the east side of Clark Street by the Charlie Western Trail, and it's listed as one of our nuisance properties. It's a very dilapidated condition. It's uninhabitable, and the small lot doesn't conform to our existing ordinance, our zoning ordinance, so it makes it an unbuildable lot. So the city acquired the property to eliminate this condition since it is in a prominent location on Clark Street. 2 addendums were issued during the bidding process. One was simply to clarify the bond requirements for the contract, and the second addendum just addressed Mid-America's tree trimming. They were trimming the large 72-inch tree over the power lines. So we wanted to let the contractors bidding on the project know about that. So essentially the final documents match the preliminary plans and specs that were previously approved. So I'd recommend approval of the final plans and specs.
What are you going to do with those big oak trees on that lot, John?
Well, there's 4 trees that'll be removed altogether.
All the trees will be removed?
Well, there's the large 72-inch
Yeah.
at the very front. That's that cottonwood tree. And there's 3 others right next to the house that
Yeah.
they need to be taken out.
Need to be taken down because of the demolition, not just clearing the lot, just
Right.
because they need to be.
The rest of the lot will remain as it is.
Any further discussion?
I so move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion. Roll call.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Okay, we move on to we've rewarded the contract. We're on number 10.
Yes, no, we'll be awarding the contract here.
Okay, the
Resolution.
resolution number 6616, awarding the contract.
Yes, bids were open last Friday, September 2nd, and we did receive 4 bids. The low bid was submitted by Sargent Trucking and Excavating out of Floyd at $10,324. The second bid from Cam Excavating at $11,450. Cole Excavating out of Green submitted a bid of $13,210. And Pop Excavating out of Osage, they submitted the high bid at $15,500. So I'd recommend approval of Resolution 6616, awarding the contract to Sargent Trucking and Excavating.
Any further discussion?
As far as all the bids, everything was relatively the same, other than what they felt they needed to charge for it.
Yes,
Sorry.
actually, they were all good bids. They were fairly close. They all acknowledged everything. The addendums, they had the bond associated with it. So all bids were good. It was just there were some changes in the pricing from between the contractors.
Their final date on when this has to be done by?
End of October.
Okay.
Oh,
When, John?
The end of October.
Okay.
I'd so move.
Takes down the house, takes down the trees, and disconnects water and sewer.
Yes.
Second.
Is that at the street or
At
course.
the mains, yes.
at the main?
That's the main.
Okay.
Got a second?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Roll call?
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
aye.
Item number 10, consider third and final reading of ordinance 1096, amending section 136.04 pertaining to sidewalks. Discussion.
Well, this is the third reading of this ordinance. This is really more of, as we've discussed before, it's more of a housekeeping item. With the recodification of the code last year, there was a sentence that was inadvertently left out of this section. And well, the first section actually discusses the maintenance and responsibilities of the sidewalk. And the sentence that was left out stated, a property owner may file an application with the city council to remove sidewalk if the following conditions exist. And conditions were listed in the recodification. The conditions are still listed. It's just that introductory sentence was not there. So we're just putting that back in to make it whole again. So I'd recommend approval of the third reading as well as publication of the ordinance.
Any questions from anyone, John, as far as you've had?
I've not
Anybody
had
contact
any,
City Hall or anything?
Questions?
I have not. I don't know if anybody
neither.
else knows. I'd so move.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Item 10B, consider motion to approve.
Gotta read the agenda.
Hmm?
Or gotta read the ordinance. Gotta read
Oh,
the
we gotta
ordinance.
read the ordinance. You get to, I guess.
Yep. Ordinance number 1096, an ordinance amending section 136.04 of the Charles City Code of Ordinances by clarifying the provision therein that authorizes the property owner to file an application with the city council for removal of a sidewalk.
Thank you, Diane. I was just trying to get you home on time
I
here.
know you are.
Item 10B, consider
No, we have to adopt the,
Adopt and
oh,
publish.
we have to adopt
need a
that.
motion to adopt the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye. Now we're done with that?
Yes, now
All
we're
right.
done.
Can't see this small print. I'm with you, Dan.
Like a karaoke, but for
Oh,
computers.
now, don't get
Highlights
carried
for the read.
away.
You can stretch that and make it bigger.
Just did. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, we're done that one.
I can't see
Little
it.
teleprompter form out front.
Okay, 10B, consider motion to approve revised language for facade program. Discussion.
Basically, we have a downtown facade program that we operate with our downtown revitalization, and Mark Wicks, the executive director, and I met several weeks ago to review the application and the form and to kind of clean up some of the language within that to meet what we feel were the current and appropriate practices for doing the program. And so we reviewed that, and as a committee and as a council, And so we're looking to, we've changed the language in there to read that the design committee makes recommendation to the city council, that they don't make the decision. They make a recommendation, it comes to city council, and then we as a city council ultimately decide on funding. That's how it's been in practice. That's not how the form read, so we've updated that. We've also changed the expected work completion time for work to be completed with a 1-year anniversary date rather than 2 years, to kind of help hold the award recipient down to a tighter timeline in order to reuse that money elsewhere as things go along and really keep the projects moving. We also changed it so that the chamber director can also act as the final inspector for the projects, which had been the practice. And then as far as project eligibility goes, we had talked about roof repair, whether it should or shouldn't be included. And, you know, as it had stood, roof repair was not included, but we have added emergency roof repair. So if there's what's considered an emergency situation, and you'll see there in the language I put, if it's causing building viability issues, you know, such as leaking or whatnot, that can be considered an emergency roof repair situation. So that would be an eligible project. Routine roof repairs would not be considered eligible. So that change was put in place. We also talked about sidewalk and whether it should or shouldn't qualify, and that night we'd come to the consensus that the adjacent sidewalk should not qualify, so that was added as an ineligible project for the facade program. Otherwise, for the most part, the application stays the same. We fund that to $25,000 a year, I believe. Yes. Yeah, that one we fund. No, that one we fund at $30,000 a year. The other one we do 25. So we hadn't talked about changing how much we fund the project, assuming we'd keep that the same. We left that the same, but the changes are as I've noted.
That's been a good program, I believe, for the city over the years. Done some pretty good improvements. I think a lot of times improvements that wouldn't get done if we weren't kind of committing some community funds to it.
It certainly is a benefit to the community.
Yes, with that, I'd so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Item 10C, consider a motion to approve revised language for the Cultural and Entertainment Grant Program. Discussion.
Now with the Culture and Entertainment Grant, similar grant, a little bit different. We also reviewed that at the same time and cleaned up some of the aspects of that grant application as well. Previously, we had 4 times throughout the year the applications could be made, and practice has shown that that's not really practical. So we've changed that to allow funding as applications are received, and we've used June 15th as the cutoff point between one fiscal year to the next. So any projects received prior to June 15th would be considered for that fiscal year's pool of monies, and after June 15th would follow the next fiscal year. Again, as with the facade program, we changed the expected work completion date down from 24 months to 12 months, and that's 12 months from award date, so everybody gets a year to get that done. And then there was some language associated with using a consultant from Main Street, Iowa. We had a name specific in there. We removed that to make that more general, as there's multiple people that serve in that capacity. As I mentioned, we used the June 15th as the cutoff between fiscal years, and when it comes to the eligible items for funding, we did not change any of those. Those remain as they were.
Any comments?
I'd so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
On 10D, consider Resolution 6716, accepting the 2015 water main project and approving final payment. Discussion.
Heartland Asphalt, they were the general contractor for the 2015 PCC paving and water main repair project, and they've completed the construction in substantial compliance with the contract documents and the authorized extra work. Now, for review, the project consisted of replacing leaking water mains on Kelly Street between Illinois and Howard, as well as the water main at the intersection of South Main and 4th Street. The concrete pavement also had to be removed and replaced as part of this water main construction. Settled pavements on Boulder Avenue between Southgate Drive and Hogslats Building, and on Park Avenue south of First Avenue were also removed, and these areas were filled and the pavements replaced. The project also included some work in the city-owned parking lots near Lid Corderay Clothing Store, First Security Bank, and Hy-Vee Food Store. We also did some sanitary sewer repairs at the intersection of Hewlin and North Illinois. This project is funded by the Water Fund, Sanitary Sewer Fund, and local option sales tax money. The project was completed at a total cost of $229,350.17. Heartland's original bid was $222,371.55. The 3% overrun resulted primarily due to additional underground work at on Kelly Street, which resulted in additional pavement removal and replacement, as well as we had a little additional pavement replacement at the intersection of South 4th Street and South Main, just in order to get the existing and the new pavements to connect properly. So we'd recommend approval of Resolution 6716, accepting the project and authorizing final payment to Heartland Asphalt in the amount of $21,783.42.
More discussion?
And John, when the contractor thinks that there's something that needs to be done that is not authorized in the original contract, do you approve that then? Do they have to talk to you about it?
That's correct, unless it's very big, then it comes here. But a lot of this work was when we have our unit price contracts. Those are based on estimated quantities, and so what we do is we actually measure up what's, like on pavement removal and replacement, what's actually in place. The contractor gets paid for what's put in, but based on that original bid price.
But if there's anything additional, you approve that?
If there's anything like an additional bid item,
Yeah.
yes.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Item 10E, consider a motion to approve the installation of superhero parking sign in Hy-Vee parking lot. Discussion.
Well, at our last workshop, we had representatives from Hy-Vee were present, and they had previously asked the city and inquired about installing a superhero parking sign, basically something that they'd like to do in recognition of veterans, military personnel. And initially they wanted to include police and firefighters and EMT as far as as a thank you by giving them a designated parking stall. Other Hy-Vees are doing it within the chain, and that's something that they were looking to do here. Of course, the parking lot is owned by the city, and so they have to get city permission to do that. In our discussion with them, we politely requested that they perhaps remove the police and the fire and the EMT from the list, and police and fire felt better about not being offered a special opportunity to park closer, but felt that the keeping of veterans and whatnot on the sign would be a good step forward, and active duty military. So they'd like to put one parking stall in, and I believe it's going to be in addition next to the one they have for expected mothers. Just as kind of a thank you. It's not a sign that can be regulated by the police department or anything along those lines. It's just being seen as a nice thing to do, I guess you could say. So we from the city really have no
Any further
reason to think that
discussion?
would be necessarily a good idea.
I'd so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
10F, consider Resolution 6816 approving the designation of a school zone on Salisbury Avenue and First Avenue at the Charles City Middle School, High School campus. Discussion.
Well, due to the opening of the new middle school, the Charles City School Board has requested installation of stop signs at the intersection of First Avenue and L Street, as well as First Avenue and Highland Avenue. However, prior to installation of these stop signs, an engineering study, along with engineering judgment, has to be conducted to justify the need of these signs. Now, since a final traffic pattern for vehicles entering and exiting the school has yet to be established, primarily because the loop road is not yet completed. And also the school officials are still contemplating exactly how the final traffic pattern will flow. It's premature to really do a traffic study at this time. Now, per the manual on uniform traffic control devices, portable stop signs are only allowed to be placed for emergency situations. But the Iowa Code, it does provide for cities and counties to establish school zones, and when school zones are established, the prohibition on the portable stop signs, that's exempt. So we feel at this time, by establishing a school zone, it will allow the placement of temporary stop signs, and it will provide the time for the school to finalize their traffic flow pattern, as well as allowing us to complete a traffic study. Now, the school zone, that will include Salisbury Avenue from the north right-of-way line of Clark Street up to First Avenue, and then on First Avenue from Salisbury to the east to the school district's east property line. So we'd recommend approval of Resolution 6816 approving this school zone.
These are basically rollout signs for now?
That's what a portable stop sign would be, like one of those
Yeah.
rollout signs that can go out, and then
Well-
during the heavy traffic time, they're out there, and then during the rest of the time, they're rolled back in.
We've kind of been taking an unnecessary beating from the school board on this situation, and we got to be patient in doing it, and the rollout signs will give us time to realize what's really needed up there. And to have a permanent stop sign that's needed for 2 hours a day is kind of ridiculous, and I think we need to do what we're doing and walk into it, and the school board's got to be a little patient with us on this. I'm a little irked about that because the paper's been coming out that we're at fault, and we're not at fault of nothing. We're trying to work it out with them.
Yeah, we're not against stop signs, we just
Sold
have a process.
my soapbox.
Yeah, we have a process, and that project is not completed, so we cannot do our part with the study until that loop is completed. Once that's done, we can start the process, and if we show that, yeah, it needs one, we'll do it. Until then, this should allow them to have the intersection controlled as they feel it's needed, and we can work with that process.
Any further discussion on this?
And you had looked at this originally on L Street. I remember we voted for the yield sign there some months ago.
Yes.
Is it appropriate to put out rollout stop signs?
At this point, it is, and that's the nice thing about this part of the Iowa Code. You can within a school zone that exempts that prohibition that the MUTCD places. So during those heavy traffic times, you can probably you can justify a stop sign, but for a permanent placement, that's where you really have to get into a full study and really do the traffic counts.
Well, they've had rollout signs at the old middle school for years, and they still do it, I see. I mean, this is a thing that you only got 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon on a school day where it's probably necessary.
Plus Lincoln School as well, I mean, it's common.
And they do it at Lincoln and
Yeah.
Washington as
Well,
well.
yeah, right.
And as John alluded, I mean, they, even after the first week of school, they've kind of, as they've seen how things work, I think they're kind of thinking about alternatives to how they're going to work the traffic flow there. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to settle out first.
It's still a process going. It's not complete on either end, so.
And I know the PD is watching that up there since school started, and they'll have an input on that. And I think we're right where we need to be. I mean, I think this is good.
Yeah, we did install a crosswalk. We did paint a crosswalk out there on Monday after that first day of school, where they'd extended sidewalk, and then there's a sidewalk that comes down there across from the Baptist church. So we did paint a crosswalk in and put in the crosswalk signs, address that, and we've been in addition to reviewing this, we've been given some additional thoughts on potential sidewalk extensions, completions, and actually John and I offered to the school that we can come to their next board meeting and answer their questions on these if they have any questions on stop signs and so on and so forth. So Monday night we're going to meet with them and answer their questions.
I think it should be known we're doing our best to work with the school board and get this thing set up properly, but it takes a little time to find out exactly what's needed to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further discussion? Do we have a motion on 6816?
Yeah. Never mind.
So move.
Second. Roll call?
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye. We're down to number 11, other business, miscellaneous correspondence.
None.
Attorney's report, and keep it under an hour, Brad.
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Uh-oh, city clerk's report.
I know, I always have something to say. The next planning session will be held Tuesday, September 13th, not the 14th, because most of us, or a lot of us, will be gone to the League of Cities Conference. So next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock will be that planning session.
That's it?
That's it?
It's
Yeah,
fine.
quick.
They don't need us here for Wednesday. We're fine.
City administrator's report.
Yeah, just to build off that, I guess what Trudy mentioned, next week we got League of Cities Conference Wednesday through better part of Friday, and
Where's that at this year?
Des Moines.
When?
So it'll be Trudy, the mayor, myself, and Councilman Hammond attending.
And one important note is that Mayor Erb will be installed then as the new president
New
of the League of
president. Yep,
Cities,
I
because
heard
he will
that.
be the president next year.
That's
So
what-
Let the
that'll be
heckling
kinda cool.
begin. We'll
That'll
do
be
our
cool.
part.
That'll be cool. So,
So does he have to buy the champagne, or do we?
well, I hope so. I better
On his
remind
tab.
him of that.
City administrators.
There'll be, anybody that's been in City Hall knows a lot of the boxes and coolers and whatnot in the hallway. That's for Golden Associates. So they are the firm that's working on doing the 5-year EPA review for Shaw Avenue. And so we are the temporary holding place for their materials until they can get out and test the water, which we thought was going to be today, but it sounds like that's been delayed a couple days. So we're
Well, I
not
see-
moving anywhere, at least
I
not yet.
seen them there last week, and I thought we was making an early move to the middle school or something. I don't know what was going on.
So that's going to be coming forward. Law Enforcement Committee, we're getting close to meeting, having a full meeting with the city and the county committees to hopefully nail down a firm and discuss that project as far as looking at law enforcement possibilities. Other than that, moving forward on several different projects. And before you guys leave tonight, I do want to look at your workbooks. I do have an update to put in for spyware types protected against that. So try and get your machines here before you take off. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thanks, Steve. Board, commission, committee reports. We have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Need a roll call on that? We're adjourned.
In your office?
Yeah.
I'm sure
What do you do with it?
Well, putting in like spyware, virusware protection.
Oh, okay.
Read it. That's their own fault.